Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
Americans of Reddit, what places in America should foreigners avoid at all cost? Steaming acidic hot springs in Yellowstone. And all the wildlife. Don't pet the bison. All I heard was pet the bison. Avoid going to one location thinking another location across the country is a short trip. I used to work at a hotel, and tourists would tell me all the time about their one-week vacation plans that involved a road trip. From NYC to Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, and LA. Great. If you don't hit traffic, you'll have 5 minutes at each one of those places. Quote, so many people don't realize how large the country is here. Hell, from Louisville, Kentucky to DC is a 10-hour drive. Driving across Texas is an 18-hour shift. Just experienced this with my in-laws. They thought we could take a day trip from NYC to Niagara Falls and make it back before dinner. Because they're both in New York State, we ended up flying and spending 2 nights in the area. If you're in a national park, listen to what the caution signs say and don't venture off of paths. One is because of wildlife and the other is because humans don't need to ruin everything in nature just to get a photo. Also, don't fall into the Grand Canyon. You will die. The thing that struck me about the Grand Canyon and other such wilderness areas, national parks, is how unregulated it is, in the sense that you can just wander off into the wild at any time 24/7 and get yourself in serious trouble if you're unprepared. You're strolling down South Kaibab Trail surrounded by tourists and all of a sudden you realize that it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't have enough water. And it's a 2,000 feet climb back up to the rim. Or that you can literally walk a few yards from a gift shop and fall right into the biggest hole you can imagine. I mean, that's America. It's so wild driving through American highways and thinking that if you just got out and walked into the forest at the side of the road there would be absolutely nothing ahead of you for days. Just posted this somewhere else today. But while at Yellowstone, I watched a foreign tourist get super close to an elk for a selfie. I wanted to call out and warn her, but I also didn't want to spook the elk by doing that. So my friend and I just watched anxiously while she did her stupid peace sign selfie right next to this massive wild animal. Nothing happened, thankfully, but do people just not understand that wildlife is wild? Northern why? Because that's where I live and I don't like people. Likewise, even though tourists are how we survive the winter. We eat M. Can't live with M. Can't live without M. Gary, Indiana. Americans should avoid it as well. People talk shit about the south side of Chicago, just wait till you have to exit or enter the state. From Indiana. Enjoy traveling through Mordor. It is a barren wasteland, riddled with fire and ash and dust. The very air you breathe is a poisonous fume. I have heard Gary in literally each post like this. What's wrong with it exactly? Gary is what people imagine Detroit is like. I drive to and from Chicago a lot. On one of these trips the highway got shut down so I had to take a detour through Gary. The detour was literally 3 turns and then back on the highway. It went a little like this. First turn. Random car drove off the side of an elevated parking lot. Car was teetering perfectly balanced on the edge of the stone drop-off with the lady and 3 children sitting beside it. Second turn. Entire house completely engulfed in flames. No sign of fire, police, nor EMS. Third turn. Man running down the street at full speed with a flat-screen TV tucked under his arm. All of this mayhem in the matter of less than 5 minutes. Literal abandoned industrial wasteland. What people think when they think Detroit, but like real. Anywhere with a rainforest cafe and a wax museum on the same street is a tourist trap. Edit. I love how many people keep guessing what city I'm talking about and no guess has been the same. Nashville has a mall with Madame Tussauds, rainforest cafe, and aquarium restaurant. I literally walked into Opry Mills for the first time last night and you better believed I looked at the fish outside of the aquarium restaurant and in the Bass Pro Shop. The deserts of the Southwest. Unless you're prepared for it and understand the dangers of that environment. It isn't uncommon for us to get folks from Europe, typically Germany for some reason, who decide to go hiking at the worst times of the day without enough water. Some of them die. It's really easy to get dehydrated and possibly die even in safe areas. And the danger can sneak up on you. Edit. Hey, wow, I didn't expect this comment to blow up. Let it be said here that I love and welcome our overseas tourists. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate the opportunity to recommend restaurants and local sites because I get to see my home through new eyes. I'm very much a hospitality-focused person, and can really geek out when I'm asked for advice by an out-of-towner. Edit 2. No, seriously, I like Germans. I've had a couple of close German friends, and have family living full-time in Germany at present. They're neat people. No, I have no idea why they hike around in the desert like that do. Germans always come to Australia and try do the same. They want to hike in the desert in summer, which is just dumb. The heat saps everything out of you. I think it's because hikes in Europe have bars, restaurants along the way, whereas US, ours is wilderness. Seriously. Go climb a MTN in Europe and there's a good chance of places to eat or drink at the top or middle. Whereas the New World actually leaves nature wild. I would say if you're not used to extreme heat, do not visit the southwest US during the summer. During one visit, granted it was August, but it averaged 115 to 120 F during the day. And cooled off to about 95 F at night. The, oh but it's a dry heat, is actually a joke that most people don't get. Think of the dry heat when you open the oven door and stick your face near it. That's what it's like. I think the people who make that joke have never visited the deep south in the summer. The humidity is unbearable. I recently moved back to California after living in New England for over a decade. It's literally exactly like an oven here, but I vastly prefer the 110-degree dry heat to 95-degree heat with 105% humidity. Here I'm roasting rather than boiling in my own skin. The dry heat is sneaky too, if you're not used to it. You don't feel yourself sweating. So you have no clue how much water you're losing until you're in big trouble.